announcement, we are open to have private sessions. I am opening new dates on my schedule. We have a brand new automated booking system. No more long waits for confirming the booking. That's right, everyone. Automated booking system is here. Go to andrewbartzis.com. I look forward to seeing you in a private session. Welcome, everyone, to another adventure into reality. I am your host, the Galactic Historian, Andrew Bartzis. Today is an open call-in session day. Ask me anything you'd like. And as a special treat, if somebody truly gives me some challenging questions, be it about ancient aliens, ancient societies, ancient civilizations, past, present, future, spirituality, prayer, or any of the many subjects I talk about, you will get a special bonus and you will get a spiritual apple from me. Always encouraging people to ask intelligent, powerful questions. And with that, we are going to open up the lines. Joel, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is going to be the Universal's first presentation to us.
All righty, we got a nice amount of callers on deck. Let's bring on Betty. You are on the air with Andrew Bartzis.
Betty, are you there? Betty. Hello.
Am I here? Can you hear me? You can hear me?
I can hear you. Can you? Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Where are you calling from?
Interesting. Right now I'm in Florida.
Well, Betty, you are the first caller. What do you want to talk about today?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I have something interesting that keeps happening to me that I don't know. I'd be really interested to hear your perspective about it.
Okay.
So this is something that's been happening during my plant medicine journeys. And like the first or second time it happened, it's like the day after it kind of just fades into like, was that even real? And I've like just have a lot of doubts about it, and I've just always been really dismissive, except that like it's happened now like 4 times, 4 separate journeys over the span of 4 years, and every time it happens, I cried like the deepest tears I've ever cried in my life.
And what kind of medicine are you doing?
Psilocybin.
Okay. So just psilocybin, nothing else?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when this particular thing that happens, it's always psilocybin.
Okay. So a lot of times when people say medicine, they mean sometimes they mean ayahuasca, San
Yeah.
Pedro, but you're having deeply cathartic, healing, sobbing tears from it.
Yeah, and it's always around the same thing, and it's connected to like past lifetimes. As it connected to my past lifetimes with, I think, Tibetan Buddhism.
I try to explain to me how the tears come on, side emotions, side visions, anything that's present that causes the trigger and keeps you in it. This is actually
It's
very common. It's just
it's
not common on mushrooms. It's very common.
oh
So this means it's an ancestral issue. It does have something to do with past lives, but probably more of something that happened to you as a young kid between age 5 and 11 in your dream world, where something was trying to be resolved and it couldn't until you had access to medicine as a mental adult.
okay. Okay, so what's happening when the emotions come up? It's either I'm alone, and it's been two different situations. Either I'm talking to somebody and it's helping because there's something about talking to somebody that just brings it out. Um, so it's either that
Okay.
or
Who
it's
is
me
the
alone.
somebody? Who is the
Once it was
somebody?
the first time it was my sister, and then the last time it happened, which pretty recently, it was my partner.
So two people you know very familiar entered the
Yes.
medicine space and began talking to you, and then that triggered the tears to come forward.
Yes.
Would you say these tears are lots of heavy breathing tears?
Uh, kind of like my partner described it as like crying like a baby. Like the breathing was very uh I don't know, like little small little breaths,
Okay.
like shaky.
Short breath tears. Now, do you can you see out of your eyes when you're tearing, or is there some kind of other vision trying to overlay?
No, there's never been a vision that's trying to overlay. I mean,
Okay.
okay, so the times when people haven't been around, so one time it felt like a visitation, like there was a spirit there,
It
and he
is
told
no,
me.
no, it is a visitation. It's an ancestral visitation.
But it was confusing because I recognized who he was, and he was telling me that he was my family, and I was confused whether he meant like DNA or spiritual
No,
family. Like,
lineage. It's lineage family.
okay,
All right. So let me try to help you out and understand.
okay,
When you take mushrooms,
hmm
how long does the medicine take before it affects you? You feel like I'm definitely tripping,
I'd say at least an hour and a half.
and then how long before the tears would start?
Well, the last incident, what happened was, I was fine, everything was great. I was meditating, enjoying the sunset, and then suddenly, after sunset was over, I sensed my body, something was really, really wrong. Like I thought I was gonna die. Like
Uh-huh.
it felt like I wasn't breathing right, and I just didn't know what was wrong. And I frantically tried to call my partner. It was hard to reach her, but so it was like maybe like 25 minutes till I reached her. And once I started talking to her, it started pouring out. Like all this stuff about past lifetime started coming out, and all
Right,
the tears came out, and then my body felt better.
right. So what it ended up happening is you crossed the veil, and when you felt the body wasn't right, it's because your physical body had entered the astral world, and that happens on mushrooms, but that
Okay.
doesn't happen for everyone. I want you to know that's a very rare and unique thing to happen. Very few people can actually have that happen on mushrooms. What that
Okay.
means is you've got a built in ancestral medium inside you, and it's trying to come out. And it would be something for you to explore, to go with the intention of taking another dose of medicine, but everyone else being sober around you, with the intention of trying to record what's going on.
Okay.
So that you could hear yourself afterwards in a sober state. That people
Okay.
can pray with you. People can have ceremony energies and bring blessings to you. This is something that's coming out of your lineage, your mother and father, their mother and father, 7 generations back. Every generation of the family had somebody who was able to channel the ancestors and
Okay, that
give
makes sense.
advice. Okay?
That makes a lot of sense. Okay.
And you as a child shut it down because nobody in the immediate family was trained or had enough training to teach a 6-year-old not to tap into the energy or how to tap
Mhm.
into it the right way. And that's why I was saying when you were a younger person, you shut this energy down. And now it's starting to come out through the medicine. And the
Okay.
tears are finally,
Right.
finally, I've come home.
But I find it confusing because the things that I say, though, are about being a Buddhist, and it feels like Tibetan. Although,
Yeah,
but
because
but
that's a
my
very important lifetime that was aware of you in the future.
it's
See,
confusing to me though because I'm born to. I mean, my parents are Taiwanese, but we are all Taiwanese and Tibetans. When you go back, are from the same root, right?
right? But that doesn't mean it's not all about the same family. You can be in many families at once. That's the grander soul family.
Okay,
And
that
it's
makes
not
sense.
necessarily about this. It can be a powerful Buddhist personality, let's say at around 900, 1000 AD, who was aware of you, Betty, today, and is
Okay.
trying to bring awakenedness and awareness of their energy to you today so that they finish the transference of power to you because you are the inheritor of their wisdom, ancestral wisdom.
Okay. So would you say then the things that I say when I'm in these uh when I'm having these experiences might actually have some truth to them? Because like afterwards, so I feel like, come on, could that really is that
That's you in denial, limiting the experience, which was the original little girl, that couldn't explain what was going on and probably was poo pooed by everyone around them. And you took that as an attack and shut it down. It's a natural defense system to rationalize it away.
okay? And do
What
you
more proof? Listen, what more proof do you need that it's real?
I I well,
Let's start there. What more proof do you need that you can not rationalize it away?
I don't I guess I shouldn't anymore. I think this is it's not now at this point it's not that I need proof. I just need to understand what is it for? What do I need to do with it?
You need to
What
practice it and learn how to access it without the medicine. That's why what I was just saying a minute ago is you've got to find some more mushrooms and have your partner do a recording of it. And so you're going to be on the mushrooms, nobody else will. And that will feel weird in the beginning, but the goal is for them to set up a state of energetic love where they can hold you, they can pray with you, they can dance with you, they can activate energy with you until you get to that state where I'm stepping into the astral realm. Okay. And they can
mhm.
turn on the recorder and you can have so many questions pre prepared. Buddhist energy, who are you? Where were you born? Tell me about your life. What is the greater message here? And I'm
Hmm.
telling you, it's just going to flow out of you like a waterfall.
I'd really be surprised if that happened. I just feel like just very blocked. I really do. And
You are blocked. You are blocked. You are blocked. What does prayer mean to you? What does ceremony mean to you? Okay? Those are all foreign concepts to the you of today who is being confronted by a powerful Buddhic energy from an ancient past. And you don't have the same matching faith that it does, which is part of your journey of healing the faith. It's why it's coming out in medicine now. Medicine right now is your connective tissue to the faith, to the spirit world.
right. Right, but that's for a reason, and it'd be one thing if I told you I hadn't spent time, but I've like spent so much time doing all sorts of, I just feel, I literally feel like the last time that this happened, when I had called my partner, what I had to say to her was that I felt like I was under attack, and I don't normally look at myself like that. I don't, because I find it to be negative, but
there's a reason why you felt like you were under attack. In previous iterations, when you were young, it came to you when you were sleeping and in a deep dream, and it felt like an attack because you didn't have control. You were a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old mind without a fully formed personality of you today.
But what about the things I was saying about the like the spiritual war? And
those are all true. I talk about spiritual wars all the time. It is a spiritual war, and we need people to honor the common moral code of do no harm and make that a stronger message and develop new philosophies that get us out of the abusive situations we're in.
But is it true that people who play a role in this, like who play a more prominent or active role in this spiritual war, like yourself, for example, like
in the beginning, there's always going to be the resistance. The majority of that resistance is your own lineage not wanting you to draw attraction to it. And
really?
Then once you get over that hump, they don't really care as long as you're not rocking the boat. It'll always be from your own lineage, your own local peoples, that the energetic attacks come from. That's why ceremony, prayer, cleansing your environment, having a daily practice that actually makes a difference in your life is so vital for the spiritual people who are growing with special talents. Your special talents will never grow without the daily practice that enhances the way you perceive and use it.
Okay, but this is how I feel about my attempts to have a daily practice. I feel like I start over every day. I don't feel like, I feel like it takes a tremendous amount of effort.
Because you still have broken faith, a severely broken faith. What happened to you when you were 21, 22?
Oh my God. Well, what happened at that time of my life?
Yep.
I wasn't just like a normal person, like a very traumatized, unhappy college kid.
Uh-huh.
And one day it's a crazy thing that happened to me. But one day I was at a nightclub and this guy came up to me and he was like, "Hey, do you want some ecstasy?" I had never tried that before. And I was like, "Okay, I'll take a couple." I took him home. Maybe a few nights later, I took one and I died. I literally, it was the beginning of, I think I had a walk-in thing happen.
No, you didn't have a walk-in. You didn't have a walk-in.
I didn't?
No.
Well, it seemed like it was the beginning. I consider that to be the beginning of my life, like that day, that moment.
Okay. We'll get to that in a second. I want to ask you an inquisitive question.
Yeah.
How do you think I targeted 21, 22?
Because I don't know, because it's true.
There is a frequency in you that has a trauma, that has a date and time in it, in which your faith was broken.
Okay, so that's what happened. So that I had my spiritual awakening at that time, and I believed so much, but I was also faced with the reality of real life. And so I believed so much that it was more important for me to seek truth than to think about the reality of like how I was going to pay my bills. And so I completely ignored that part of reality. And I just had faith, and guess what? It all came tumbling down. One day, creditors came after me, and then I realized that this reality, this illusion is stronger than
no, it's not. That's compounding the broken faith. First thing first, MDMA is very common to have extremely life-changing cathartic experiences on it. That's why they're using it for people who have PTSD coming back from war. What it does is it releases all the acetylcholines and dopamines that's available to you and immediately fills you with a sense of love, something you had not felt in your body in a very long time. And that love was so potent and so powerful, full of otherworldly spirits wanting you to succeed and reconnect to the faith that was broken as a child. You, in your mind, had to reset yourself. The original you is still there. And the you that changed through that love went through that next part of their journey, which was into brokenness in two forms: broke physically, broke mentally, and broke spiritually. But part of that journey of brokenness is putting yourself back together, where both sides of yourself are balanced. You know you need a job. You know you have to have balance. You know you need love in your life. You know all that now. You also need truth in your life. And part of the healing of the broken faith is all aspects of it. And the girl that disappeared when you took those medicines, in your point of view, has to reemerge in you. She has a part of the special talent that will make it easy for you to learn. And what you'll discover, they were never separate. They were never separate. You just chose to change timelines.
But I also think I chose to decide I don't really identify with that person because I wasn't necessarily a good person. I was very unconscious.
Doesn't matter. Now you're saying all the guilt and all the shame and all the blame that's keeping you away from her.
Okay.
You change timelines. You are not a walk-in.
Timelines. That's okay.
Okay. Did you grow up Buddhist?
No.
What did you have any religion when you grew up?
A little bit of Christianity.
All right. So what does ceremony mean to you?
Ceremony. Well, I've spent a lot of time alone in like removing myself from society. So ceremony for me is like creating a sacred space, meditation for sure, prayer. I chant a lot. I don't know what I'm chanting. I don't know if it's a soul language or light language or what it is, but that is probably my most powerful spiritual practice.
So you are on the no plan spirituality.
No plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Process those words. No plan.
Well, I feel like I have a plan in my life, though.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
It's pretty
you think
solid.
You do, but you think you do. It changes all the time. The energetic cycles on you are very obvious. And
it does change all the time, but when I make a decision, I what was that?
The only reason I'm being hard with you as part of your journey of faith is you have to recognize what goes inside you as the cycles of repetition.
Okay.
Which makes it very easy to forget. You've got 3 cycles of repetition every year. That means you try to reset your point of view 3 times a year.
Okay.
And forget what happened the previous cycle.
Okay.
Because you could only handle so much information and data, and you've got to then dump the hard drive and start over 3 times a year.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay? It's because you are over-vigilant, oversensitive, and using empathy way too much. You are dirtying your own waters by using empathy as the main psychic skill. You, as a human being with the DNA in you, were never meant to use empathy in that way. You were meant to connect with the higher spiritual consciousnesses in the crown chakra level and translate wisdom from the ancestors of the past to the ancestors of the present and future.
Right. But
it's why you are such a heady being, why you have so much head power. And unfortunately, that head power is getting in your way because your body is so tensed up.
Right.
What kind of job are you doing now?
I mean, it's not, I'm like semi-retired. I created a company several years ago and I sold it, and I have like
you're living off your creation. That means you have money to invest in yourself. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna give you a recipe. Okay?
Okay.
And
That's exactly what I.
this is what you need right now. And recipes have varieties to them. First thing is, you ever done flotation tanks?
No.
Do you know what they are?
Yeah, I think. Is it like kind of like sensory deprivation type thing?
Yes, where you're floating in the Epsom salt water. Okay.
Okay.
First thing first is what you'll learn about the flotation tanks is 1 hour in the tank is equivalent to 8 hours of deep delta sleep.
Okay.
That will, if you start doing 1 or 2 floats per month as part of your grander dedication to changing your body, you will begin
Okay.
to learn to use that float to re enter the dream space with a conscious application where you won't need the medicine to help you go through the crown chakra connection, where the tears will finally stop and the words will flow.
Okay.
Okay? That's twice a month. The next thing is
Okay.
your body is terribly suffering right now. Suffering.
Okay.
Your mind, your body. You have blockages in your kidneys, in your stomach, in your intestines, and all of your major meridians for a variety of reasons. But right now it's because of anxiety between these reset cycles. Okay? Are
Okay.
you familiar with a healing technique called rolfing?
No.
Okay. Um, what rolfing is in a very advanced form of deep tissue massage. It is 100% paid, Phil. I'm going to be upfront, but you are a classic example of what rolfing was meant for.
Okay.
Okay. You are going to end up purging so much stored energy that isn't yours that you're going to, at the end of what they do is in rolfing, they do what's called a 10 series where they do 10 sessions, where every session they isolate a different part and a different part and a different part of your body until they purged all the excess energy that isn't yours and get the meridians moving again. Okay.
Okay.
What you're going to discover is that pain will turn to pure pleasure of get it the fuck out. Okay.
Okay.
At the end of that 10 sessions, you are not going to be you anymore. You are going to be a person blockage free.
Okay.
Taken on the energy of others, and your own signature frequency energy is like one file, and imagine a large cabinet of files, and you got to start
Yeah.
emptying all these files that are not yours.
Okay.
Okay. Now the
Through
next
this
thing,
whole thing and through the
floats
flotation.
for
Okay.
floats. So the roll thing will do. You'll do the 10 series, and at the end of it, you'll decide if you want to do more. But the float will be something you got to regularly incorporate into your new living life, because you'll only get stronger and stronger the more you're able to trust the delta dream state where you're still awake. Because key for
Okay.
you is earning trust again.
Right.
Okay. Now the next thing is, what's your diet like?
Uh, Mostly vegetarian. I mean, I
So
think I eat pretty okay. Organic foods. It's not. I mean, I'm not growing my own food, but it's organic. A lot of organic produce.
so how many meals do you skip in a week?
I don't know. I just don't really. I just eat when I'm hungry.
Okay. Can I be blunt with you?
Mm-hmm.
You're lying, and you know it.
Okay.
Okay. You're lying, and you know it. You need to have a minimum of 40 grams of protein every day. You can
Okay.
choose to be a good vegetarian and start counting the shit, or you can choose to ignore it and go on and be right on the edge of being anemic. And you are right on the edge of being anemic. Your meridians would never be that blocked if they weren't, which is, I'm willing to bet, you skip at least 8 meals per week
You
or more.
think? Because I feel like I eat a lot.
I don't. I think you're not digesting any of it, and you throw half the meal away. And you have been doing this for a very long time in your life, and it's very easy for you to erase and recreate what's actually there. That's why you have to record it, like a court recorder, recording the absolute truth of what your body's ingesting.
Okay.
Okay? That's the first part of the recipe. Dedicate to counting protein. Doesn't matter what your diet is, as long as you're counting your protein.
Okay.
What exercise are you getting?
It's like walking, hiking type exercising, sometimes paddling.
Do you have access to a jacuzzi or anything like that?
No, I do live on the ocean, if that means anything. If there's anything I could do with that. I mean, I check them every day.
All right,
I'm
so,
connected enough to check to know when I want to go out and walk.
all right. Do you ever run?
No.
Any particular reason why not?
I've always been very short of breath since I was a kid.
That's the anxiety your body's been creating for a very long time because of the broken faith. Can you power walk?
Sure.
Okay. So what I want you to do is to get on a cycle whenever there's low tide, you go out and power walk. And whenever it's high tide, you can slow walk, but you want to bring in more energy into your body versus the low tide purging energy out of yourself. Okay?
Low tide purging. Okay.
Low tide, you are purging energy. High tide, you're taking it in. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And take time to admire the ocean itself. Okay?
Okay.
Okay? Just give me a second to scan a little deeper here. So, you and your partner, has intimacy been a challenge at all lately?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, we haven't been together physically for the last like month because I
That's what,
did a retreat.
that's what I'm sensing.
Okay.
How long you guys been together?
It's almost 2 years.
It would be a very, very good idea for the growth of the relationship that you have a celebration of specialty intimacy on that 2-year anniversary.
Okay.
And a
sure
celebration of it. Yeah, you could figure it out. It'll make a huge difference in the energies combined with the recipe that I'm telling you about. Okay.
Okay.
Do you take supplements?
No.
Any particular reason why not?
I don't know what to take. I don't know.
All right. So I'm going to give you a recommendation.
Okay.
Any supplement you take, you need to have what are called methylated vitamins. You need vitamin D3 and B12 methylated. Okay. And then you're going to want to find an iodine therapy because you have adrenal gland burnout.
Okay. This is a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I do this a lot with clients. I run into the people who have similar situations to you. Okay.
Okay.
And they don't know where to go or what to do. And the recipe is tailored for you. I mean, others can use it, especially when it comes to counting their proteins. You will be absolutely surprised when you truly dedicate to counting it, and you'll look back at how easy you could edit the truth out.
Okay.
Okay?
I've heard you talk a lot about craniosacral therapy. Do you think that's something I
think that's something that will be beneficial to you after the rolfing.
Okay.
And it would also be something you should look into learning for yourself. It will only make it easier for you to tap into the psychic skills that are built into your body.
Okay.
Okay. Reiki is not going to be enough for you. You're going to need something where you can really sink your educated mind into. Craniosacral therapy, myofascial release. You can go and find a class that some of them are weekend classes. The hardest part about it is the anatomy and physiology. Okay. Be very good for you to have it done for yourself and then begin to learn it. Because there's some very, very special skills in there that you can apply to yourself and help that some of these energies that are about ancestral wisdom to come forward.
Okay.
Do you know if you were a bedwetter a lot?
I don't think I was.
You still close to your mother or father?
Not, I wouldn't say close, but yes, in the sense that, you know, we when I had a very, very horrible dysfunctional relationship with them and left home when I was 14. Like, it was bad. And they were
Yeah,
very
that's the
toxic.
ancestral.
But oh, okay. But my mom is a different person today.
Yeah, because you change timelines. This
Okay.
is going to be the hardest part of this whole session here is you understanding what changing timelines means.
Okay. What does
Okay?
it mean?
We don't live on one timeline. You aren't born to one timeline. We aren't singular beings. Okay?
Okay.
When you had your MDMA experience and realized how crappy the life had been with you,
Mm-hmm.
you immigrated to another timeline. Okay? And
Okay.
left her behind. That's why you felt you were a walk-in. Okay? And then
And her
reality
is
hit.
another part of, wait, her is like another part of me?
Yes, the part of you that's still on the original timeline that you didn't take with you.
Okay.
Even though she's still inside you,
Okay.
she is still living the crappy life in the other timeline, waiting for you to come and get her.
And I'm going to get her through doing these things. Like,
Eventually, it will come because it'll be about the inner work. The rolfing is what will clear so much of it and make it easy instead of hard.
okay.
I cannot stress to you enough how easy it will be by doing the rolfing versus not doing the rolfing and trying to integrate another self without clearing the inner junk inside you.
Okay.
Because realigning with her means the faith realigns. The faith realigns, the DNA inside you changes because this is the right timeline for you. The love that you have now, she didn't exist on the other timeline you were in. And you
Right.
had to change timelines to find that love.
Yeah.
You had to forcefully forget the shit you went through to create a new you who wouldn't carry the shit into the new relationship.
Right.
Okay? There you go. Breathe deep into that. When you complete the flower of life, integrating the parts of yourself that have left out, because the bad won't come with her. And that's a fear you have inside you at a very subtle intellectual level.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
The negative will not come. You will only integrate the best positive because the love is here for you. It means the immigration journey from one timeline to another has the approval of the ancestors.
Okay.
What was the business you started and sold?
E-commerce business. It was like inspirational gifts.
Okay. Any other ideas for a business for you?
Yeah, I do have yeah, I do have something I'm working on. Yeah, I do.
What is it?
I have a Oracle card company.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, when you get out of your own way, and I mean it, get out of your own way, you have an opportunity of incredible success in the spiritual world and the physical world. I
I
cannot stress that enough. You have so many spirits in the background trying to cheer me into a direction to help you
I
because you're
I,
right on the edge. You're right on the edge of believing and not rationalizing it away anymore.
I really feel like I've given for the last ever since that for the last 20 years, basically 22 years, I really feel like I've given this everything. I've given a tremendous amount of effort.
And that's the pain talking right now. That's the pain talking right now that doesn't want to do anything. And the next cycle of reset coming.
The next cycle of reset coming?
What I told you before, 3 times a year, you dump all the excess thing and start over.
Yeah.
You're reaching that state where you can't hold anymore, and you're going to dump everything and start over internally, which is making the broken faith last longer and longer and longer.
Okay, but what I'm saying though is that the broken faith is coming from actual experiences. I'll give you an example. I committed to doing psychic development classes for 3 months, 3 days a week, 3 months, and at the end of it, I literally felt like I was the least psychic person in the whole class. I'm just saying, it's like a history of effort.
And then you start over, and then you start over, and then you start over, and then you start over.
Because the effort doesn't lead to anything.
Because you're not giving yourself the next level of breakthrough, because you're starting over right away. You're quitting before the next level of experiences come to you.
I'm quitting before the next level.
The next level of experience is coming to you.
Okay, another example. Had the MDMA experience, I spent the next 6 years of my life very much dedicated to spiritual practice. So I went into Buddhism. I did a lot of spiritual practices, meditation, and I just always felt like
you did too much and lost your social life and created a deeper imbalance within yourself.
Okay. It's just
Darling,
when I believe you. I feel it. I have been feeling it. That's why I have tried to break through. That's
your trauma talking again, and you have to be able to recognize the trauma talk versus the reality talk.
Okay.
It's very easy for us to create arguments for our limitation. And you've become a professional, and I mean a professional, at arguments for limitation. And you have to recognize what is a pre-programmed argument for limitation and recreate it for arguments of success and do. I've got to let you go. I've got other people to get to. We got a big call. Please go do the Rolfing. ROLFING. You stick with it until the 10 series is done. And if you want to continue. Go and do the float and make a promise to your soul, not me, that you will count your protein until you can see how much you truly skip. Because once you're on a cycle of actual food with an unbroken cycle, you will have so much physical energy and your short breath anxiety will begin to go away. And the methylated vitamins, D3, B12, methylated.
D3, B12 methylated. Okay, thank you so much, Andrew.
You're welcome. You have a great day. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
All right, Joel, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is next.
Okie dokie. Let's see. We got a treat. It looks like the Galactic Bard is back.
Galactic Bard, are you there? We got cut off last time.
Oh, no.
There we go. I'm here.
You made it.
We made it. We got assistance with the technology this time. I have my adventure hobbit here, and we're working on her phone. So things are better. I've got my tech support.
Okay. How's the boat going?
Oh, it's going beautifully. We haven't really started sailing yet, but we're just getting to know the local creek that we're in. We're swimming in it every day. We're getting local oysters that we're eating. We're just tuning into the local environment, and then we're just like shaping, sometimes physically and literally, but like making the boat, the interior of the boat, and then the exterior area our own. So we're just moving in, as it were, and it's feeling really beautiful.
Great. What do you want to talk about today?
Oh, well, beautiful brother, I would love your perspective on some soul, some soul technology games that I have played and that I have come into varying levels of awareness. But I trust your cosmology and your perception, and I would love to hear your perspective on some things that might have happened.
Go ahead. What are they?
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about specifically a time. I'm going to give you a place and a time. So it's going to be 2016 Christmas, 12/25, 2016. In the early afternoon, I had a hernia surgery in Bluefields, Nicaragua, a small town on the Caribbean coast of Nicaragua. And so that particular time was a certain kind of a reset. And I have a few different opinions, thoughts, feelings on it. I would love yours, and I can move more into more specificity if you need that. But that's a beginning point.
What were you doing in Nicaragua then? What was your reason for being there?
I was there to have surgery. Yes, it was you could call it medical tourism, but it was really more of like I had been in the context of like a huge collapse building up to that point. So that was the point, kind of like archetypally, I had reached my 34th birthday. My father had passed at 33, along with Jesus, the other bearded white guy in the sky. And I was kind of in this like deep, deep dark hole, embodied by a lot of like a full kind of engagement in an aspect of this culture. I was living in Los Angeles and in a marriage that I didn't want to be in, and like there was just that whole path of unfulfillment I was deeply embodying, and then I just kind of kept getting slammed with grief, my mind breaking, my body breaking, and so I got to the point where my body broke in this context of when it was a hernia. I had previously had a hernia surgery 20 years before that approximately, and this one burst again, along with the rest of my life. And I made an attempt to navigate through the intentionally labyrinthine healthcare system in the U.S. because we had been paying for it, and the runaround that I got was so ludicrous, along with the kind of like chronic stress.
You don't need to say it anymore. You don't need to say it anymore. So your journey to Nicaragua was for you to change timelines, similar to the other caller.
Yes.
Your arrival in Nicaragua and the doctors that did the surgery on you and the recovery space that you did was a part of a balancing of a past ancestral karma, so the new you could come forward and the new adventure inside you can be redone. The bursting of the hernia represents the breaking of the original dream world to the timeline that you were born in, and because that timeline was only going to be death and destruction for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And your soul instinctively went to Nicaragua to change timelines. And that was one of the handful of places you could have gone because the ancestral energies there were very positive for you to transit to the right timeline. Also, you had a variety of UFO experiences that guided you there too.
Where and when were those?
It's what got you out of Los Angeles. It's what created the frequency of ejecting yourself from Los Angeles.
Yes, I feel that. Yeah.
And then they stayed with you for your entire journey down there.
Yeah.
So that nothing would interfere with it. And then on your recovery journey, a variety of spirits on the land came and helped regenerate your broken dream world, which was the bursted hernia. Because hernias always represent very hellish nightmare realms and timelines.
Yes, we went all in on that. We went all in on that.
How long was your recovery there?
I stayed in Bluefields for 2 weeks, just healing and laying in the hotel room. Also, I got a surgical site infection. I was smoking. I smoked throughout the entire recovery, which I knew was a terrible idea, but I did it anyway. And then I got a surgical site infection, which again I knew was possible, but I wasn't as aware at that stage of the power that I had to navigate my reality. But and then I ended up, my friend is a pediatrician down there, and you can just buy. So I ended up getting Cipro, and just completely like dropped a bomb on my microbiome after that. When I did that, I came back to Los Angeles. So yeah, 2 weeks laying down, and then the recovery in some ways I could say has lasted.
And then how did life change? How did life change after you got back?
Oh, everything was different. I knew things were different, but there was so much inertia. I started having visions of being a traveling musician, things that had never crossed my mind before. I knew that my marriage was over. I was married at the time. I knew that my marriage was over. I just started having visions and just began the path that I've been walking these last 7 years, which has just been this continual process of surrendering to whatever this is in this beautiful dance.
This is where you get to realize your dream and be the adventurer again.
Yeah.
And set the suppressed slave life you were living before.
Yeah. 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 And then it was this last Christmas, which would have been 7 years exactly. That was when a remembrance kind of came through. At first the walk-in was one of them, and then I was like, it's something like that. And then the way that I was kind of describing it was like, it feels like I exited and I kind of went traveling for a while, and then like whoever came back was so different that it's still me, and then the definition of a me that's separate and a me that's the same, like, oh, that gets blurry the more you get into wiggly interdimensional space anyway. So it wasn't too much of a concern. So your interpretation is helpful as well. The shifting of timelines, that's something that it feels like I do on a regular basis now, and then facilitate with people as well. I can feel when the time and places where things are thin, and then I can feel the patterns of the weather and the energy that kind of like indicate timeline shifting. Games are happening.
So you're on a boat now, right?
Yes.
As you begin to go out into the open waters, that sense of energetic travel is going to amplify manyfold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to run into parts of the ocean where you will travel into the astral world. You'll move out of this world, and for a period of time, the boat will be traveling through the astral versions, and you begin to have a variety of visions and contacts.
Yeah.
The key here is to not fall into fear. Okay? Record what you can do. Sing to the ocean. Guitar to the ocean. Let the music be the guide through the ocean. That boat can be guitar powered too.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right. We've felt the potency of the magic that moves through us, and the call of the ocean, and then partially through all that you have shared, the understanding of the technology of creating your own reality bubble, and the relationship that we can have with the elementals to move through those. So we have had an awareness for a time that this was the path, and I think we've been taking our time just to do it kind of properly, just making sure that relationship is in order.
Right, you got to get all your boating. You got to get all your boating skills down too, because you don't want to be in the middle of the ocean fucked up.
Of course. Of course, yeah. Well, but the skills are skills. It's like it feels to me like getting the attitude and the kind of like inner technology appropriate, so that like when we're out there, we know what we're handling, and that's where we've reached now, which is why we're actually finally able to connect with you and then drop in this way, because we know that we're just in that space now, in that frequency, in that timeline, and that whatever comes, whatever moves, wherever we are, whenever we are, whichever timeline we're in, we can play our way through it, and we can find our way back / towards wherever we're going next. So yeah, that's a beautiful It's beautiful to hear you say that. It's a really delightful adventure that we can feel is ahead of us, but also just like already here, even if it's the quiet time of the adventure.
Oh, you don't worry. You've got many loud times in the adventure coming.
Exactly. No doubt, brother. I know that one. We know that one.
Have you planned a route yet?
Not yet. I have my adventure hobbit here with me. This beautiful woman that we met actually the night of the eclipse at a ceremony for the eclipse in Texas. And the last 2 moons or so have been just us kind of like interweaving and growing, and she's been such a catalyst for that. So, and she's tiny, so she fits on my tiny boat perfectly, and is very willing to, joyfully play our way through this adventure. So, so I don't remember the question. I just started talking about my beautiful adventure.
Have you planned your route of you're going to do?
Oh, yes. So she's from Jamaica, and I've been feeling that going south after hurricane season is our first move, probably. We have a few different invitations. There's that one, and then the man who gave me the boat is another beautiful friend and beautiful musician who I see us, playing our way around the world a lot together. He's an incredible guitarist. He owns land up in Nova Scotia. So I know that both of those are in the mix. I don't always know the order of things. I get the visions, and I tend to know what's next, like next. So we have a couple of land quests, and then I believe the way the winds are blowing now that we would go south. It just seems like the Caribbean seems like a good spot to practice the sailing. And I have lineage there. I have not from, I don't know how much from this skin suit, but from the Maya call me a lot. I've in a couple of different times gone to Quintana Roo, and I know I need to go for the third time that will bring the story to, not completion, but to like a chapter completion. I know there's something there waiting for me. So I definitely have some.
How big is your boat?
My boat is a 27-foot sloop, Cape Dory.
And did you put the motor in yet?
I have an outboard on it.
You have an outboard on it.
Yeah,
all
and
right.
I also have a diesel. Yeah.
So there's something I want you to look up. It's called the Great Loop.
Oh, I know the Great Loop, bro.
You know it?
I know the Great Loop. Yeah.
That's what you should do. The ancestral energies of you completing the Great Loop will be through the roof as an ancestral reconnective journey for you.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. For those people in the audience that don't know what the Great Loop it is, it's from the St. Lawrence to the Mississippi, all by rivers. You could also come out in Florida. There's many different routes to take, but it's the original rivers that the Native Americans did that would travel from Maine to Mississippi. Okay, and there was connective threads through there, and the energies will be so amazing for you to complete the Great Loop.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt it. That was one of the things that came when sailing first came, when I started dreaming this life in 2019 in the fall. Great Loop was one of the things that came through. So, and I've met Great Loopers and here in Urbana as well, because this is just we're like a beautiful little stop along the Chesapeake. So yeah, no, that makes sense, bro. It's not something that I would have decision that I would have made recently, but as soon as you say it, it's like, well, of course. Yeah.
Think of the amount of places that you could stop and have a small ceremony, ancestral offering in each of those places. Yeah. And by the time you're done on the Great Loop, you would have done like 1,600 miles. Yeah. And will have had 10, 15 stops where you can make ancestral offerings. Yeah. And when you come to the ocean in like Mobile Bay or in Louisiana, wherever you're going to come out, you're going to come out into an area that's full of teeming of life. and it's going to reset the inner genes inside you.
Yeah. I already did massive ceremony on in New Orleans at the mouth of the Mississippi 2 years ago.
Irony, pure irony.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, bro, that's what I'm saying. It's like the time travel I've been doing, as I just like the places that I'll just go somewhere and then just do ceremony there and have no idea why. 2 years later, I come back, like the zigging and the zagging and the random shit that I've been doing, bro. I mean, of course, the great loop. I mean, the amount, like you say, the amount of like pinpoint spots that I can stop along the way where I can engage with the land, the sea, the waterways. Yeah, that makes perfect sense for the technology that moves through me. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you beautiful bastards. You and your crazy, crazy mind with your Akashic records and all of that. I tell you what, you beautiful ally. What a wonderful man to have on board. I got to keep writing your songs, Galactic Santa, so that you keep on laughing and wiggling with that belly like a bowl full of jelly, you beautiful bastard.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man, I got to let you go. I got to move on to the next caller.
Do your thing, my man.
All right.
Peace.
All right. Take it easy.
I shall.
All right, Joel. All right, Joel, let's spin up the wheel of callers and see who is next.
Okie dokie. Let's bring on Abdul.
Abdul, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the UK.
Welcome to the show. What do you want to talk about today?
A couple of things. The main thing I would like to talk about today is morality, subject of morality.
Okay.
So, so first of all, I'd just like your perspective on that. So, like, what is morality and, like, how does it work from your perspective?
So, every culture will have their own definition of morality. And so what I'm going to give to you is when cultures agree, there's a common moral code. Do no intentional harm. And the philosophies that is built from do no intentional harm. That's the basics of any moral, just society. And when another moral, just society meets another moral, just society, but they have opposing philosophies, the common moral code is commonly thrown out. And the hierarchical order of money debilitates the capacity for the common moral code to be inherent amongst everybody. So morality scales to individuals' current culture and the capacity in which they want to create change in themselves. So there's a mathematical way of seeing morality, and way to amplify morality is to share what is your moral code that can't be scalable to the basis of politics, money, or other external hierarchical systems. Now we take that as the definition of morality, and how does this world view morality? Somebody who is an investment banker, they don't generally have morals when it comes to their investments and the damage that it does. But they will have a moral code with their own individual family members. Well, they try to do no harm to the family members, but their job is constantly creating a way to break those moral codes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you have people who are in the military, who are following patriotism, which has a very different moral code. Patriotism is one of the most destructive things to the common moral code of do no intentional harm, because the hierarchical system of combat for power. Power corrupts morality. And when we learn to hold our personal power to our moral codes, we can become the next level of teachers to others who don't have a solid moral code.
So to expand on that, what I was wondering was, because there's the debate of whether morality is subjective or objective. I was wondering, So, from your perspective, is there like an objective morality that people are meant to be following, and how that would work, or is there?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question.
Or if it's subjective or some other thing, some other.
So objective and subjective. So an objective morality would be somebody who's falling in between patriotism and religion. I will defend my country against XX or X, and I will kill for XX or X. And then there's the religious versions of that apply to the patriotism. That's an objective morality. A subjective morality is something that is just at the edge of unachievable because the society will not allow the subjective morality to take place as a viral environment amongst many people. Society will act as the virus because of the ancestral resolutions of the negative. And oftentimes the negative is what dominates people's perceptions, and it's the negative subjective reality of morality that comes out versus the positive subjective reality. I will intentionally do no harm, but I will not allow harm to come to my loved ones. I will not intentionally do damage to others, and if it does unintentionally, I will do the best that I can do without making myself go bankrupt. I will not fall victim to martyrdom. Martyrdom is a terrible, destructive journey against morality.
So you mentioned harm. There are cases, of course, where the harm may be in self-defense, as some might argue. So in those kinds of situations, how does morality work, if that makes sense? Like there's some tricky situations. Yeah.
This is not about morality anymore. This is about choice. We live in a free-willed universe, in a free-willed galaxy, in a free-willed solar system, on a free-willed planet. And people will use their free will to do negative. Your free will is to keep yourself alive. And if you have to use part of that free will to do something that's against a moral code, it's because your life means something to you.
Wouldn't that be, if it's positive in nature, wouldn't that be the more moral thing for that person to do? Let's say if
it can be. But what about the people that are left behind?
It's very dependent on the situation, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why it's a free will, it's a choice thing. Okay? But that's the nature of karma. Choices have outcomes to them.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that as well, like how it relates to karma. So, yeah, morality and karma. Yeah, if you could speak on that.
So morality will often drive us into negative karmic situations. I will be loyal to my girlfriend or my wife, even though it's a terrible relationship. Okay? Or, as another one, I know I have a drinking problem, but I can't break it. I can't stop it because everyone in my family drinks. All of my friends drink. My life is around drinking. Those are all karmic choices. At any moment in time, you can choose to stop drinking and change the nature of your friendships until you're not around drinkers anymore. But oftentimes, that's far too much of a challenge for an individual to go through.
So, in terms of how does it relate to one's life purpose? Because another way I understood morality, it was to be some sort of like guiding mechanism for people to guide them in life.
It's not always the guiding light. Sometimes the uncertainty of free will be the guiding light through the road bumps that are ahead of an uncertain path. Morality will simply be, all right, I'm at a fork in the road. Do I go left or do I go right? If I go left, there'll be a set of challenges that will really challenge me morally. If I go right, I won't have to deal with them, but it'll be a much longer journey. Oftentimes, people will choose right. And they go on that long journey and they find themselves alone without a lot of human contact. and they understand if they would have gone left, the arguments and debates and the negatives that would have happened would have helped them grow, and they would have gotten to their end of their journey much faster.
So would that efficient route have been better, more like morally?
Yes,
perhaps?
Because going through the challenges create the stronger inner being. As long as you don't give up on yourself.
So you mean going through those challenges? You mean the longer path is better, or you meant the shorter path?
Now, the shorter path could be better.
Right.
Then there are other people who have been overexposed to socialization, and they need the alone path to purge themselves of the energies they've taken on of others. That's why I said it's the free will choice. Karma is going to be on one side, on the left and the right. The left side simply just represents the negative karma will be in the beginning 20 steps of the 1,000-step journey. The right, you'll only have a handful of road bumps, but it'll be a 100,000-step journey instead of a 10,000-step journey.
So say someone's confused on this matter, like especially there's a lot of people, they come in at a point in their life where they don't know what to do, they don't know what direction to go to. Is there some sort of system, like some sort of moral system, I don't know, baked into the universe, or something that we can?
It won't be a moral system. It'll be an adoption of a daily practice that has a big variety. So a daily practice is spiritual practices, such as meditation. And you cannot have a myopic practice. You need variety. So meditation is just one of many skills. Sun gazing, exercising, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, the yoga, the amount of skills that are out there to learn are endless.
So the choices are broad. So it's like someone might be wondering, well, among these endless choices, which one am I supposed to be doing?
You commit to you. Self-healing, self-nurturing, and the mastery of self-healing and self-nurturing. There is where we discover our greatest power to create change in ourselves, to discover the greater purpose.
So would you say, I guess, someone's highest excitement, someone's whatever's they're most passionate about at that moment is what they're supposed to be doing?
Not always. Many people go in the excess, into the extremes, and will take that fun thing and do it so much until it doesn't give them the same joy anymore. And then they have nothing else to go back to because they've only practiced that one thing.
And then perhaps the excitement would lead to something else. Maybe that's the sign to move on.
Depression. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes it leads to depression because you put so much effort in mastering the one, and when it doesn't give you the same return on energetic investment, you have to spend the time being the baby steps, the intermediate steps, mastering something you don't want to give up and not relearn the basics of a new skill. That's why I said you commit to self-mastery. And inside self-mastery is self-healing and self-nurturing. Self-healing is going through the journeys of the internal, what's wrong with me and how could I create a positive? And then the self-healing, the self-healing part, and then the self-nurturing is when I am in a depressive moment or a challenged moment. Can I turn on my love and my body feel it? We oftentimes become numb to love. Love is still the greatest source of change that we can have, and mastering self-nurturing through loving the self is the greatest skill one can give to them in developing the journey that gives you the best potential outcomes.
Mm. Wouldn't you say that's basically the essence of morality? Like you want those best potential outcomes?
But most people don't gift themselves that. Or there's something in the moral code that stops them, which is the martyr. That's why self-healing.
That's a challenge, isn't it? That would be the challenge. Yeah.
That's why self-healing and self-nurturing and the mastery of them reveal those core blockages to getting to the unlimited perception that you could have at any moment.
What would you say is, I know this might be a difficult question, but what would be in terms of God's perspective on morality, if that would be something possible to answer?
All right, so
would that be
scale
a
down.
neutral perspective?
God is us on a collective level.
Exactly. So how would morality fit in that equation?
We are here as explorers in 7-color time, meaning our roots to crown each has a color, and when all of our parts of ourselves are working together and not working against each other, we are a 7-color experiencing being. And when we become a 7-color experiencing being who has mastered self-healing and self-nurturing, the God source within us will help through a precognitive workforce the completed journey and to have the richest life experiences that you can have so that they benefit the next you in the next lifetime. That's going from a karmic path to a dharmic path.
Mm-hmm.
So God is within all of us, and the journey to God is self-healing, self-nurturing, and the mastery of that of. And then the understanding the variety of techniques that we learn to master self-healing and self-nurturing. But from the very beginning, it requires commitment and courage. None of those are mystical experiences. They're all choices. And when we solidify the choice, which is our sovereign free will, and allows sovereign free will be connected with the God source within us, morality is a simple expression of our daily practice.
Well, when someone, I guess, expands their consciousness and awareness, like through various lifetimes and stuff, like getting closer to God, so to speak, are they, I guess, following the moral path as opposed to someone who's maybe going in a more negative direction?
So let's take the word morality out of the conversation and replace it with something else.
Mm-hmm.
Faith. How does that change the perception when you change the one word, morality, to faith?
So faith in what exactly?
Does morality have faith behind it?
It would. It's faith in perhaps something as some sort of guiding mechanism or principle. Something guiding you towards something positive as opposed to
Faith,
negative.
generally, when healed enough, represents I'm not competing with my internal selves anymore. I've gotten out of my own way, mastered some form of healing and nurturing, and I've realized that everything is a choice ahead of me. And I can choose the easy path, the middle path, the hard path. Everything will be a choice ahead of me. All of those choices will have commitments behind them, and those commitments are going to require courage, which we must generate ourselves. And faith is what helps us keep courage, keep the concepts within ourselves without losing our way, because the reality is constantly trying to steal from us mind, body, and spiritual energy, until we have the cycle of friends and family who have their own form of faith and love that help regenerate spirit through interactive journeys with them. Be it having a fun family meal, a vacation you go on that creates lasting memories.
Mm. Are you familiar with the, I'm sure you are, but the service to self and service to others concept?
Yeah, I'm the one that created the whole thing.
Yeah. So again, would you say, I guess, morality is more like service to others, service to all, and maybe not?
No. It's all about where you are in the journey to healing whatever is broken inside of you from a childhood. Everyone has something broken inside them. Okay? It's just the nature of how karma works. Some people heal it right away and some people don't. So there are times where the brokenness has led us into being a hermit, or lessening the amount of friends we have for whatever reason. The opposite of that is having many friends who care for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And part of that journey is I got to choose to have friends. I got to choose to turn in my hermit card. I got to choose to be a part of society.
And that's a choice based on the belief that that would be a better choice as opposed to not choosing that.
Because you won't have fulfillment. There's a realization that being alone, we are not meant to be alone beings. We are not meant to be monks in the caves in the mountains like we were in the centuries of the past. The monks in the mountains need to come out and open brick and mortar businesses that have signs saying open for business. This is the time where the monks need to leave the mountains, not the people leave the cities and go into the mountains and disappear. This is the opposite of that time.
So getting back to the definition of morality, we've explored it a little bit. So how would you? I feel the definition is a bit, to be honest, a bit wishy-washy. I'm trying to find some sort of solid.
Because you're too heady with it. You're too mathematical with it. Morality is emotions too. And you're not figuring into your equation how emotions drive people through moral challenges or moral superiority or moral inferiority. There's no one cookie cutter way of defining morality, but there is a common ground where morality starts. It starts with loving the self, so enough so you may love others again. And that's the difference between service to self and service to others. Some people need to be on the path of loving themselves, and then there are others who have loved themselves to the point where they've lost contact with everything else and need to start learning to love others and let others love them. It's a major issue in this world. People love others, but they don't allow love into themselves.
So would you say morality is love and love is morality?
It can be intertwined with each other based off of where they are in their journey, yes. When you go back and listen to this conversation, this is a very high-level conversation, and thank you for bringing it up. There'll be some nuggets in there that might make more sense when you listen to it a second or third time.
Yeah. I have my own thoughts on this as well. It's a subject that's deep. Yeah, it's a subject that's deeply fascinating to me, and it's important to me in my life as well. Yeah, that's maybe one day we'll talk about it again. But yeah, I want to think about it some more and review what you said.
Well, you get the apple.
I get the apple.
It's been a while since anybody's really given me a definite run. I love it. Great conversation with you.
Nice. I mean, well, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to share my quick version of what I think morality is, or how we can.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote a piece a long time ago. I'm still working on it. It's not final or anything, but I feel there's 3 ways that can help us. Well, the way I view it is again, it's supposed to be some sort of guiding principle in one's life, and basically there's so in nature and stuff, you have objective, positive and negative mechanics. So there's, for example, constructive mechanics, there's destructive mechanics. So if you destroy a building, that's destructive. If you construct something, that's constructive. Love is constructive, for example. Negative emotions, they're destructive. Essentially, the idea of morality would be to be focusing more on the positive aspects of those mechanisms. And basically externally we have these mechanisms that we can kind of identify and recognize as something as moral or immoral to help us identify that. And internally we have our spiritual core that's always designed to guide us towards what is right, what is wrong, what we're supposed to be doing in life, and so on. and we have our subjective ego, which is the filter, which can really mess things up. Which can either be in alignment with our true core self or in misalignment, which can throw us off based on various belief systems and whatnot. So that's my quick explanation of it.
Great.
But that's just my theory of how it works. Yeah,
it's a very binary process of definition.
Yeah. Although, we can go in more detail, but that's just the
no. I really like it.
Yeah.
But you also have to work on the trinary process, not the binary. The binary is the person embedded into the reality. The trinary represents how the soul and the grander mission of the soul's purpose in life evolves through the traumas that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So you take what you have as the binary, which helps them figure out where they are in the morality journey, and then apply that completed, connected faith energy, which allows the greater perspective of how morality drives us to and from love. Because there can be a negative aspect to morality that stops us from loving others or allowing the love of others in because I am not worthy. My morals are not enough to be loved by others. And oftentimes it is these internal debating demons inside, self-created demons inside us that stop the growth of faith and morality as a journey together.
Yeah, and sometimes, negative, dark experiences can help us see the light even easier.
Yes.
And can bring us further beyond.
The other thing is, if you look at the darkness looks back at you. And it's a terrible thing in society today because of all the information overload. People can try to jump in to try to figure out this awakening world, and the next thing you know, they're sucked into conspiracy, this and that, and they're overloaded, and they become paranoid and go through anxieties, and they don't know how to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep looking at that, and all that looks back is darkness is everywhere. It's because you consumed yourself with darkness and looking at it.
Mm-hmm. So that was a great conversation. I just want to mention something else before I forget.
Sure.
Because we actually had a private session back in May.
I remember you.
Yeah, you remember me? Awesome. So we were talking about like the Quran, and you had a couple of references. I believe you couldn't remember at the time. I did send you an email. I don't know if you could get back on that. I would have loved to follow up on those references.
I'm looking for those videos that basically takes the etymology of the original words translated by the top scholar of the time that was with this other guy that I listened to. I just have to go through my YouTube history. It's probably back 3 months ago.
Yeah, it would be awesome. I would love to look into that further because it's a key part of my research as well. So I'd love to look into that deeper, basically. So let me see. Should I move on? Or am I taking too much time here?
Hold on 1 second. Graham Hancock did the video with him. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, sure.
I found it. Ha 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 ha.
You found it? Awesome.
Wow, yes. Thing has to move. All right, so I'm going to grab the link and I'm going to put it inside the chat room over here. And then Joel will replace it into the chat room in the main room. There's the video. You just triggered in my brain to find it. Now, this is an 1.5-hour video. The person he's doing the interview is Mario Biglino. He is the top translator in the world. He's done by the Vatican, everybody. He's considered the best of the best of the best.
I see.
This one video will open up so much more of what I was telling you about with its own actual factual definitions of what went on.
I see. So is he one of the authors you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
So,
I believe you mentioned another author? Or there were two?
Yes, just 1 second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me scramble my brain again. Hold on. Morino Biglino is the other guy. So Graham Hancock and then Morino Biglino. And then if you go to Morino's YouTube page, he does a bunch of other top scholars going back and forth between the Bible and the Quran and the actual translation process.
Okay, so wow, he covers both basically.
Yes, it covers both.
Okay.
I've listened to this video at least a half dozen times, and every time I listen to it, I get something new out of it.
Okay. Yeah, 100%. I'll be looking into this more. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's great.
So, I had one quick question.
Sure.
Quick question. So, what was the significance of 3 a.m.?
It's the witching hour, where the fabric between the veils of reality is at its thinnest point, and where the connective tissues of consciousness can travel to a variety of astral realms and begin the journey of doing the great work in the other realms.
Are more like, entities and stuff, are they more present in around that
They
time?
can be, but it's a cycle within inside our circadian rhythms to be astrally traveling with conscious awareness on a cyclical basis based off of the sidereal time, the local time to you are to where the moon is to you.
Another quick question.
Sure.
Things like ayahuasca, DMT, I've never tried those things. Sometimes I wonder if I should. Sometimes I feel I might not need it, but I don't know. What do you think, based on your gift?
I'm hold on. Have you ever done any type of drugs at all recreationally?
No, I'm too clean. You know my story. I'm too clean. No drugs.
You've never even smoked pot?
Nope.
Well, before you go and just jump into ayahuasca, it might be a good idea for you to try pot once or twice, okay? Because there's an anxiety of I've never been this, and you can't just turn it off, okay? And there are some people who can't handle that. They're internally too controlling over their journeys inside themselves.
What would be the purpose or reason to do it? In my case, I guess, like for some people, they probably want to
have
find some sort of insight.
a fully spiritually religious experience that absolutely proves to you the other realities are real. Amplify, reconnect faith, expand your wisdoms. I personally think you would have very intense trips, but you would also come back to the reality as when the medicine is over, how do I reconnect to that space? And because of the nature of the job that you do and the education that you have as a programmer, you're very heady, and you need to get out of your head and connect to your heart. So the medicine's going to be about the illogic view of the heart. Okay? And when the head and the heart agree to each other and the medicine is working, we connect to our gut, our pure intuitive senses. And that part's a little foreign to you right now. And that's why something like pot or a light mushroom journey could be very beneficial to you. And then you'll go, all right, maybe ayahuasca would be good for me, but it's not something for you to just jump into. I will say that.
I heard people mention about Mother Ayahuasca, like an entity that they meet through that experience.
Yes, they do.
Can you expand on that? Like, what is that exactly? Is that an actual being, or is that? Like,
it's an actual being that is developed by higher source God-like energies to be a guide in 7 and 8 color time for us. And the guide is resolving generational traumas amongst lineages. And when the generational traumas are healed, humanity can go through the remembering and awakening. So it's tasked by the higher realms to be an open, loving figure of healing generational traumas. And it exists, it doesn't just exist in ayahuasca itself, it exists in many different medicines with different aspects of the healing journey for generational traumas. And as humans, we have everyone who's born today right now has about 10 generational traumas that go back to the last ice age when the Younger Dryas area hit and we lost everything. Okay. And then the generational traumas of what took over afterwards when the reptilians and the reptoids took over much of society and corrupted the good that was here until we started fighting back against them. And it's been this back and forth journey of battling for it until finally the vast majority of the reptoids were kicked off this world, but we still suffer from the traumas they've inflicted upon us. And we have to heal from those traumas for the remembering and the awakening to happen. And that's why medicine teachers are there, not just ayahuasca, but the many others yet to even be discovered. But I also say this, many people abuse medicine. Okay? In my views, most people should only do medicine a handful of times in their whole life. And with something you learn, once you connect to the medicine, it never leaves. Okay? There are a lot of people that literally abuse it. It's their form of faith. Medicine was never meant to be your form of connective tissue of faith. You got to generate it on your own.
Like to become reliant on it, in a sense,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
And just a final thing, and then we can move on to your next caller. At the moment, I'm planning to like fix my health up and stuff. So I'm thinking of what I should do in terms of my diet specifically and exercise and stuff. I have some ideas of what to do there, but diet specifically is something I'm kind of researching. Is this something you can advise in general, perhaps for others as well, just in terms of...
So diet is not going to be your most important change in your life. Okay. You have...
Because I have sometimes issues like brain fog. Like if I eat certain things, it gives me brain fog. And
it's not the eating. That's not the eating that's doing it to you. It's not the eating.
No?
It's being in your head too much.
Well, it happens specifically if I eat certain things.
You're activating psychic skills. Okay. But as part of being a high frequency being is that discovery. What would be more beneficial than a diet change would be for you to do the same thing the last caller did, rolfing, ROLFING, and doing a full 10 series. And at the end of that 10 series, go on a very high protein, whether it's the high protein diet. Okay. It doesn't matter what it is, a high protein diet. Okay.
It's funny because that's what I had in mind.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like an 80 to 90 grams of protein and get some exercise to convert to muscle. But it's so vital that you get the dirty energies of others out of you, from the management systems that you went through to the schooling and the education. All that has built up a tension inside you. And I'm telling you, at the end of that 10 series of rolfing, you are going to be different, vastly different. And the capacity to use your brain will be expanded tenfold. Okay? It'll be easier to connect to your heart and connect to your gut too. The reason you're having gut issues right now is because the volume of you're not really processing your proteins, and you're trying to use the energy of the food for very high frequency work, but the food doesn't have the high frequency in it. It's not because it's not organic. It's because your gut's not aligned because of all of the tension in your body, which is keeping you acidic. Once you get the tensions, right, you will not be acidic anymore.
Okay. So what would be the first steps I could focus on?
Rolfing, ROLFING.
Just straight to that? Just straight
Start with that. Start with that. Do a full 10 series. Okay? Where are you at right now? In the UK?
Yeah, I'm in London.
Oh, you should find half a dozen people within 5 miles of you. Okay?
Okay.
Tell them where you're at, what you're doing. You've got a spiritual sense. You've got, your standard work traumas. You do what you were doing. You're a very heady person. I'm be blunt to you. Rolfing is very painful. It is the deepest tissue you will ever get. Okay? You'll be screaming like a little bitch. Okay?
Interesting.
But there comes a point where it's like, get it out, and it turns to pleasure. Okay? That's for you as your recipe. The first is getting the dirty energy out of you, purging, and getting the body out of high tension so you're not acidic anymore. The second part is high protein. Then the third part is you got to balance who you are. You can't always be in the head. Sometimes you got to do this philosophy you're practicing through the gut or through the heart. As long as you stay in the head, it's binary. And when you add the heart, it's trinary. Or you add the gut, it becomes trinary. You add a whole different intuitive layer to the philosophy, which is what will next level you to help others connect to the message you're trying to create, which is to help everybody.
Yeah. Regarding the health advice, I was wondering if detoxification is something, because there's something I tried before with somewhat of a mild benefit, but I don't know if that's something worth.
No, because you're acidic right now. Once you're done with being acidic and go on a high protein diet, the vast majority of your gut issues will go away. But there will always be leftovers. And this is where colonics will be the best thing for you to do. 3 times a year, 2 times a year. Okay? Can you do a colonic during the times that you're doing the rolfing? The answer is yes. That'll help you get rid of detoxifying. Do you know what a colonic is?
I mean, I've never done that, but I've done like bowel detox and stuff like that, which is
totally different. So a colonic is where you're on a table and they put a tube up your butt and they put like 4 to 5 liters in at a time, and it flushes out the lower and the upper intestine until all the petrified poop and the mucus comes out. Okay, that's all stored negative data. That's all stuff that's blocking your immune system from growing. 80% of your immune system in the beneficial chemicals that create acetylcholine and dopamine are in your intestinal tract. Okay, so just doing colonics alone will help deal with that. One colonic is like having 30 morning poops cleared out of you. Okay. And then once you're on the cycle, detox is simple. Your body tells you. But right now you're stuck in this acidic state. Break the acidic state, feed the body the high protein, get the exercise, do the colonics. It's going to be so much easier for a journey. And what you're going to discover, this philosophical, spiritual expression becomes far easier for you. All right, brother, I got to let you go. It's great talking.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll catch up at some point again.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Joel, we got time for one more call.
Okie dokie. Let's check in with Sony.
Sony, are you there? Hello. Going once. Sony, going twice. Sony, going 3 times. Next.
All righty. Julia, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, Julia. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Sweden.
Welcome to the show. What do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, I would love to talk about my light language process.
Okay, well, tell me about it.
Yeah, well, since about 10 years, my body has been moving by itself a lot. But it wasn't until in June last year that my arms started moving. And then a couple of months or 1 month later, my mouth started to open, and I was fearing what was gonna come. So I was closing it and closing it. And then I started to suddenly make like, I have to take a breath, sorry.
Okay.
I was out in nature, and suddenly I started to make these sounds, which were like almost like when you're shivering, you're like. So I just felt it was like some kind of dragon coming through.
It was a very powerful spirit coming through, trying to be a catalyst of change in you, because right now you're full of this spiritual fuel and you have no place to put the fuel. And light language is the greatest way to burn off this spiritual fuel. That's why light language has come to you now. It'll be one of the greatest healing tools if you learn to use it for yourself and for the energies around you and not be afraid of it.
Yes, this is exactly what's been my process for 1 year. And so I would love to hear if you have some information about Tiamat, because she was the first dragon who came through like very, very strongly.
Are you familiar with the revocation I have for dragons?
Yes, I have read them sometimes, and this last, like, since the light language came on, I have been making my own and doing my own prayers, and I do a lot of light language, but I would love to tell you a part of the story where things changed a lot.
Just as a suggestion, I have a full light language class that you could take inside my store. It would be very good. There's hours and hours of practice and light language stuff for you to look at. It would be it would leapfrog you into your light languaging journey. But tell me about what you need to say.
Yeah. So yes, I've been having these movements in my body, and then Tiamat came through, and it was so beautiful. Like, I started to spiral to nature and started to get healing from flowers, from the trees. It was so beautiful. And my hands, when I pick up crystals, they just like drag things out, and I just move things in my field and around me. So beautiful. But then one day I went to a place where I usually do my ceremonies, and I took my hands towards the trunk of a big oak tree. And my hands, they were drawn down the roots. And there I started to scream, like I never screamed like this before. I started to scream, and this thick, big energy came out through my mouth, and it got stuck on my hands, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was very stingy, uncomfortable. And then I started to cry, and at the same time I was crying, I was talking in light language, and I was crying, and then I started screaming again, and more of this thick energy came out my mouth, and this was going on for a while. And then I tried to, I went to the fire to take these things off my hand, and it couldn't go off. I just tried, and it was very uncomfortable. And then I scrubbed my hands towards the ground and to the tree and asked for help and everything. But then I started to feel all this energy went into my ears, into my eyes, into my knees, into my feet. So it was stingy energy, which I could feel going to all these places where I have pain in my body. So it was very clear, very clear. And since then, I've been working on and on with this energy, which is going out and into my roots almost all the time.
What happened is, at a very young age, you had a demonic force enter you and do a lot of damage to you.
Yeah.
And that tree, when you touched it, trapped the entity in the tree, and you're now going through the withdrawals of the entity not being in you.
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, it goes out.
Right. It has left damage on your body. And part of your healing journey is reigniting the light language because it's been siphoning off of you a large amount of life force for a long
Yeah.
time. And the reemergence of this healing light language, talking to the tips of your fingers and toes to the moment you can, just like when you're touching the crystals, the tips of your fingers and toes are connected to the meridians. And if you can talk to your thumb, your forefinger, your middle finger, your ring finger, to your 10 fingers and 10 toes until they get activated. And then allow that voice to creep up into the feet, into the ankles, down the arms, into the chest, into the core of the body, until you have catalyzed back into that energy you were talking about, because that's going to start activating the meridians inside you that have had energy stolen for so long to recharge your internal batteries.
I can tell you that when I go into when I finally let this thing open up with my mouth, which I was fearing for like a couple of days, I was full on doing light language for 3 days, like nonstop.
Oh yeah, you were doing battle with it because it was trying to get out of the tree and back into you.
No, this was before. So like I had before the tree, when I first.
Yeah, but you've been subconsciously battling it your whole life.
Yeah, probably, yes. Okay. So do you know how old I was when it entered?
6.
6, okay.
Yeah. In a dream world. A trapped dream world.
Okay.
And there's soul shard recoveries to be done that parts of the 6-year-old you are trapped there too.
Oh, okay. So interesting. So it's like it's a demon, or
was a demon.
Because I can feel it. The thing is, a couple of days ago it was gone, and then it came back, and then it was gone, and then it came back. So it's like I can feel it like every night.
All that's left is the echoes of the trauma that were done to the body. And the reason they're echoes is it wants you to become the demon, to fall victim and victimize someone else.
Yeah, okay.
It's just echoes and the trauma that remains. And the part of the healing journey for you is learning the greater skills that are not just light language, but those hands, when your hands are activated in the light language, that means you should be doing psychic surgery on others.
Yeah,
and right now, your hands are doing your own psychic surgery on yourself.
My hands actually, when I am with some people and around, my hands suddenly just do like, I feel like I become an antenna, and they point at they can just point at the person, and I ask them, do you want something which wants to come through to you? And my hands start to just move energy, and I start
the portal. Again, they create the portal. That's the psychic surgery. That's why you got to activate the tips of your fingers and toes. That's what I was just telling you about before.
Yeah.
Activate the light language, be in that ceremonial space, and it's not about the external world. It's about your body, your meridians, your activation, and not being in fear.
Yeah, I feel the only fear I have right now is I tried to get help from like a couple of healers to get this entity demon out. Some tell me it's like an ancestral thing, and some say it's a demon.
It's ancestral. An ancestral demon coming through the mother's lineage.
Okay, interesting. Because what happens is now when I do light language, like now I have made a big flower spiral with like a copper antenna, and I'm making mushrooms outside, and I'm doing so many beautiful things, like creative things, and I'm starting a company, and things are just opening up like so much.
The demon's out of you now, and all that's left is to heal the traumas so that the rest of you is fulfilled, because before that you really weren't a fulfilled person.
No, yeah, that's for sure. But like more specifically now, when I go out and when I start to do light language, I wonder if it's that one which is coming through sometimes, because I feel like it's small fairies, and it's suddenly I do like throat singing sometimes. It's so many.
Generally speaking, you're not saying one light language at a time. You're
No.
speaking hundreds at a time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Enunciation and pronunciation have nothing to do with the definition. Light language is about manifesting spirit wisdom in this reality through sound.
Yeah.
Sound transfers to light, which becomes light memory, which becomes light healing. That's why light language is a powerful healing tool. So if you just focus on the enunciation and pronunciation and not worry about the definition, you will discover that you are speaking hundreds of light languages simultaneously.
Yeah.
And when I do it, I'm speaking tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands at once, because I've mastered the various lineages, light languages.
So if you want to, maybe we can say a couple of words. But just before,
good.
I've been saying some words also in English and in Swedish, like just words are just coming through sometimes together with the light language. And
that means you're doing an auto translate, which is great, which means you're very advanced already. You just don't recognize how advanced you are.
Well, I sometimes I have actually felt it like, wow, this is so beautiful and powerful. I'm just so thankful for all of it right now. But the thing is, one healer, he said that I've been doing like dark arts in many past lives actually, and he said that sometimes I shouldn't open my light language because
that person's an idiot.
But you know this person. I'm not going to say any words who it is, but he said that when I do because when I'm at the fire and I'm singing, it's like an icaro. And he said that is like dark spells coming out from me.
I don't believe that.
Oh my God. This means so much for me that you tell me that.
And I'll tell you why I don't believe it.
Okay.
You had a demonic force. And unfortunately, that person didn't realize how integrated it was to you and how suppressed the real you was. Okay?
Yeah.
It was ancestral, meaning you were contracted to do it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you it, though.
No.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it's why you've purged. It's why you've purged. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm going to reiterate, I don't believe what that other person said, and it doesn't matter who they are. Okay?
No. Yeah.
People can make mistakes, including me.
Of course. But this energy inside me is telling me right now, and has been telling me for like 7 months. It's telling me play, and then they say play tricky, and then they say paint. And when I've been painting, it's been crazy. Like this, it feels like I'm calling in more of the negative energy, like it's calling on its demonic friends. That's what I've been fearing.
That's the leftover trauma that makes you look at the darkness as your primary source because you were a used and abused soul. Yeah. It's like being a slave to somebody, and now you have free will to go into another direction, but the whispers of the slave master are still there.
Yes, should I open up to this? Because I see in front of me the vision of painting so many beautiful things, and I just want to
well, if you want to paint those things, you got to do it in a positive, ceremonial, enlightened state. When those negative thoughts come in, go no.
Yeah, but my hand. But is it my fear or my complexity is that my hand just moves by itself? It just moves. So I'm wondering if it is.
But that's something you're going to have to learn to trust out of the broken faith that remains in you.
But can it be something negative if I'm not believing it? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if it's something that is imprinting, into my reality, and then it's drawing negative stuff, or can it not do that?
You're missing the point. It is already imprinted on you and left.
Okay, so it's not because I feel like it's talking through me, like trying to talk through me, because I feel when it goes into me, into my root.
That's the leftover possessed energy, where the you is suppressed and another voice takes over.
So when that comes, so that's my confusion.
That's where you turn on your light, activate the tips of your fingers and toes, activate the energy and light inside you to purge it out as a conscious, aware being.
And I shouldn't be fearing at all that maybe something that is coming out is like dark language.
Sometimes it needs to get out.
Okay, so that's the only thing. Is another healer told me, like, when you say those things, you call upon more demons. So, you know,
that isn't always true. That isn't always true.
No.
Okay? That isn't always true.
So I'm wondering if it's true in my case.
But that's part of the healing of faith that you have ahead of you. And the unsurety you have. Okay? So I'm going to do the light language back and forth with you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a piece, and I want you to simply respond to it without translating.
Mm-hmm.
If at any time you feel emotional, just cry. Okay? Shihoki kachi jashnoka wahi tatesh somidaji wanicha kawaksha sanitetekwa.
Yamu watakaya yalukutuku yamukuluku yakutakuya yamatakaya ikatakuya yamatakuita ikalaleta ukaya.
Shamaho, shimoho, tahiho, yeheha, ikaho, shonomo, ukoyana, shohuna tahakacha.
Wayakawa nikuta yanua namanaya yapukaya la nua tukuya yawakaya lukutu yalukutuya ayakatakuna yatukuto yalakataya hawatu.
Do you have any sense of what we just said there?
No.
Okay. It's going to be important that you start recording your light language and going back and listening to it. The second one I did triggered you into a different language, and then the last one I did triggered you into another language. Okay?
But it was like a bit of the same melody.
Rhythm. Remember, everything's enunciation and pronunciation. Because some enunciation has to be fast without mistakes, and other enunciations need to be slow with natural mistakes in it, because our voice box isn't prepared for these unusual neural pathways that are coming through. Remember, when you're doing light language, you are working with neural pathways that are unexplored.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Darling, I gotta let you go. It's been great talking to you. I highly recommend that you go and get that light language class number 1 and 2. There's hours and hours of explanation, more than I could ever give you in a handful of minutes talking to you.
Okay. Well, so I should just let the light language come, because it wants to come so much, you know.
Like I just said, tips of your fingers and toes in a healing situation, turn the light on inside you. You got to start turning the internal spiritual lighthouse on, and not be afraid that something's going to steal that energy. That's the trauma in you. If your lighthouse, right, that's the trauma in you. If the lighthouse turns on again, they're going to steal my energy. That's what you experienced at 6. And that's the internal trauma. I can't turn my light on. They'll find me.
Yeah. And when you say the fingertips, I just want to say one last thing here, that since just 1 month, I think I have got carpal tunnel syndrome, or like my fingers. No,
you're just over. You're like, it's like when you white knuckle or hold on to something when you're going very fast. Your hands are too tense when you're doing it. They need to be fluid and flow, not white knuckle, not heavy fingers. That's your internal body resistance to it.
Okay.
It's got to be like a Tai Chi flow, fluid like the water.
Okay, yeah. I've been doing a lot of gua sha, and I seem to like knocking on my when I do the light language, I'm knocking myself, and I don't know the word in English, but like clapping myself a lot on different places, and then sometimes energy comes out, and
to move the stagnant energy.
Yeah, and then my hands just go to the fire, and it gets I don't know transmuted.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
When you start mastering sending light language to the tips of your fingers and toes, your world's I'm going to tell you, your world's going to change.
Okay.
Life will become so much easier because you'll learn to turn on the internal body light and refill your reserves.
But you are saying that the demon is gone. It's just like some echo, so it's not coming in and out. Like it feels like
all that's left is the trauma and the fear the young girl experienced as the trauma. Okay. That's the echo.
Okay. Whew, thank you so much, Andrew, for everything that you do.
Thank you so much. You have a great day. Good talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Joel, let's make an end to this another wonderful show with some great callers. We will be back tomorrow for our Friday night World of Warcraft game stream. I am always open to questions on every Friday night. Come and join us, sit back and watch us kill some digital shit. All right, Joel, take us away.